Good morning, everybody. It is 7:29 in the morning. It is the 4th of July. And yeah, hope you guys, those of you here in the States, hope you guys have good plans or relaxing plans or fun plans. But regardless of your plans, I hope you stay safe and that you don't overly indulge because we still have 2 trading days left in the week. I know for me that I will be taking the rest of the day off, which means I still trade, but I take my phone with me to monitor the positions. All right. I wanted to go over just kind of some of the trades from yesterday. Pull up the WhatsApp here, because we had some fun movements throughout the day. And all right, there we are. Okay, so we had a long in gold. We wanted to go long at 1247 or 1253. 1247 is where we actually, I'll look over here. So at 1247 is where we wanted to go long yesterday. That was early in the morning at 646, and then we wanted to go long again at 1253.59 on the 1 hour Ichimoku, and that has worked out very nicely. The pound, we wanted to go long at where are we at here? Pound long at 131.9. And that is where we are sitting right now, pretty nicely. Not a whole crap ton of pips higher, but higher nonetheless. And then we wanted to go short on the dollar yen at 110.84. That's worked out nicely. In fact, currently we are sitting at another good condition for a short. Actually, I better... The euro, we wanted to go long at where are we at here? 116.65. Now we did get up there, and we've kind of retraced a little bit. Again, we're in the holiday right now. There's going to be almost no movement throughout the rest of the day after after 8 in the morning Central Time. So, we're just not going to see a lot of participation for the rest of the day here. But that trade is still, active, and one we should look at. So, yeah, probably 160, 116.73 maybe is going to be the better option right now. Okay, and then we have the pound. We wanted to go pound. Oh, we did that one. New Zealand dollar. We wanted to go long at 67.88, which we did not get to, but that is still the trade we're looking at. So we're really looking at lagging span to break above, and then we can take that trade. And so really we're just looking at the same value area. The euro, did we do the euro one? Yeah, we did. Sorry, I was looking at the Aussie dollar and I said the euro. Aussie dollar, we wanted to go long yesterday at 73.97. That did hit. It went higher, and now we are just sitting below that zone currently. So kind of a wide chop zone here, but still the area we're looking at, if probably want to look at it on a 4-hour chart. Oops. Area we're looking at is yeah, good man, it'd be all the way up here, but I'd say 4 hours is not a very good entry there. 1 hour. You know what? Actually, let's use this as a good example. So I was rereading. It's a great book, Trading with Ichimoku by Karen Piloli. I can't remember if that's the correct way to pronounce it, but I'll put it in the portal, the name of the book and the author. I don't know if that's how you spell her name or not, but she has a fantastic take and probably one of the most authoritative books on the Ichimoku system. And what's great about that book is she goes over, and I've mentioned these before, but she goes over the 3 other kind of parts of the Ichimoku system that we never really talk about. That's there's the wave theory, the time span principle, and the price principle. And without going into a lot of detail, there's in a nutshell, the application of Hosada's wave principle in the Ichimoku system and the price projection and the time, it's very, 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 very similar to Western technical analysis. What I think is kind of cool is I've used the Ichimoku system before I started using Gann forever and a day ago, and well, I should say, well, no, that's not true, but I started utilizing the Ichimoku system along with Gann, just because for whatever reason they seem to complement each other very well. And so I came to that conclusion on my own, but it wasn't until I started reading more literature that I was kind of onto something and I didn't know it, even though people knew this, have known this for a while. I just didn't know that. But the Ichimoku system is kind of like an amalgamation of Gann and Elliott in its approach. The difference is that really relies with the wave theory in the Ichimoku system, really just kind of focuses on things moving in threes or fives. No, that's not right. Let me review my notes. Yeah, that's right. So, Elliott wave requires you to do things in fives. Like, things have to move in a 5-wave pattern. Elliott is very, very dogmatic. Well, no, I think Elliotticians have become very strict with the application of Elliott's theory. And that is, as a result, that's kind of been what has happened, is people have gotten a little strict with the application of Elliott. Don't break any of the rules. Whereas the Ichimoku system's wave principle, there's a lot of leeway. And she talks a lot about in that book about the difference between the traders in Japanese markets and the traders in U.S. markets, where the only thing they have in common is that they do not change the default settings created by Goichi Hosada. And other than that, the Western analysis is a lot more rigid than Japanese analysis. So there are pros and cons to that, but implementing the Ichimoku with Gann has worked marvelously for me. It's definitely easier to learn and apply the Ichimoku system to your trading. That is, but hands down, I mean, I'm going to say this over and over, that the Ichimoku system is really one of the best systems ever. And I think it's one of the best ways to learn how to trade. And I'm just kind of setting this up here. So let's go ahead and look at, you know what, I want to make sure that this isn't like, oops. Okay. One of the best ways, I think, to trade the Ichimoku system, you know what? Let me just get rid of. Let's look at the euro. And you'll notice that what I have here is I have 3 different time frames. Remember, the Ichimoku system means at a glance. So we're looking at what the market is doing just at a glance. And I will put these lines back here just for these purposes. Okay. So, all right. So right here, I have in the top left, I have the daily chart. And then I have the, oh, I didn't want the weekly, 4-hour chart. And then I have the, 1-hour chart. All right. So how you can get this on TradingView is you click here and you can pull up 3 or you can pull up 4. Sometimes I like to have 4 because I like to have the weekly as well. But otherwise, you know, I just like 3. And so what I'm looking for is to kind of give myself an idea of what's happening, because, you know, longer term charts are going to tell you a more honest representation of what a trend is doing. But at the same time, changes and trends happen on faster time frames first. Okay? So knowing that, we've already done a lot of analysis using Gann and looking at the day counts and the seasonality issues. Then we just need to really like form the proper entries. All right. So if I'm looking at the daily chart, I can see that I have some interesting conditions being met. And so I'm above the baseline. That's the kind of the signal line. And then, or the conversion line. Then here's the baseline. That's acting as a pretty flat area of resistance here. So what I really need to do is I need to get above that. So I'm really looking at that 1680 to 1683 is where I'm looking at a long entry on the daily. All right. And we're going to deviate a little bit here because the old rules that the rules that I use, we can amend those for using MTF Ichimoku, multiple time frame Ichimoku. So on the daily, I already know that we have some conditions met for looking at a long trade. However, I do want to take a note that we are up against the resistance zone, and we have not a lot of room to go higher on the stochastic RSI. Also, the volume. Look at the volume over the last few days. It's a holiday week. There's not a lot of volume. Now I want to look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart is telling me that this is getting to be a fairly bullish sign here. We have this bounce off of the Senko's band A and B, and we are above the baseline, and we have price above the cloud. We're waiting for the lagging span to cross up, so that is telling us it's that 1684 level. This is really the same level that we would need to enter on the 4-hour chart. It's the same level we need to enter on the 1-hour chart. All right, then I'm looking at the hourly, and I see, you know, we are kind of slightly above the cloud or below the base in the conversion, and we see the lagging spans below the cloud. But to get into the conditions where I need to go long, I could go long at that 1673, and that is where that entry is, and that would provide, I believe, sufficient enough of an entry to get some early pip gains and to get the momentum moving higher. All right, so multiple time frame analysis with the Ichimoku system like this is a very, very convenient and easy way to trade. And definitely the lagging span is what you want to pay the most attention to. Well, the lagging span and the cloud. Whenever the lagging span breaks above or below that cloud, that is a thing you want to pay attention to. I mean, just look at this on the daily, for example. Look at how often we find the lagging span let's when the lagging span finally does break out of the cloud, how powerful are those moves when it happens? They're pretty powerful. This would be something to be watchful of, is that when you see the lagging span, although cloud was sitting inside, price was inside the cloud at this time. But when it finally does break the cloud along with price, we see some pretty responsive rallying. I also want to point this out, is that the lagging span reacts to previous price action as a source of resistance and support. So let's go to the market replay. We'll go right here, and we'll see this play out. Okay, now we get, it's moving, it's below the cloud, price is stuck inside the cloud. There's our entry right there. That's 1639. Right here, right here, right here. Notice how the lagging span responded to the top of these candlesticks as a support level. And notice how authentic that is in past price action. Okay? That is a awesome, awesome tool, and I think I've talked about that before, maybe I haven't, but yeah, that lagging span acts as a strong support or resistance zone for price action. So if you let this play out here, we can also tell when to probably exit a trade. And so we would probably be looking at exiting now. We would take profit at that level. Excuse me. Sorry, I lost my voice a little bit. And we see price action playing out here. This is the daily chart of the euro. This is on the market replay. Okay, and we are watching for conditions to be met with the lagging span to take a trade. When the lagging span is inside price, it's just like price being inside the cloud. It's just telling us that we're experiencing something happening. Okay, there was our short entry. It was right there. And now we see prices falling. They're continuing to fall. Still falling. We're getting up to our current price action. Because on the daily chart, when we see prices, they are moving flatter. Once we see the lagging span start to enter inside of price here, like it is, that is usually a heads up warning sign that there's something happening, that there may be a change. Okay? And so, you know, we see these instances repeat themselves over and over where you have this move, you get the lagging span inside the candlesticks, price inside the cloud. That becomes a consolidation zone before the next breakout. All right. Just looking at the other broader market here, you know, not looking at a lot of trade opportunities just because it is a holiday and, you know, we just don't get a lot of activity. We should notice that, well, let's take a peek at cryptos real quick. Let's look at the Bitcoin market. So Bitcoin, we had a little bit of selling yesterday, but it wasn't on a huge amount of volume. Now it looks like we found some support again. We see on the daily that we are overdone here. But then if we look at the 4 hour, we bounced, look at that. We bounced right off the baseline, and the lagging span bounced off of this top of this candlestick here. So that's a pretty strong case that we're going to move higher here, at least in the 4 hour chart. And then if we look at the hourly chart, we can see, well, we're inside the cloud, but we don't have to wait very long to take a long trade, because if we do break out above the cloud and price and the lagging span breaks out above the cloud as well, we're looking at that 66.24 zone is probably going to be the area that we see price rally higher. But again, on the daily, it is showing us to be in a difficult area to trade above. Okay. Otherwise, the rest of these markets, we've had some pretty good rallies in Cardano. That's my favorite cryptos to trade. We have, where are we at? Here it is. Very similar chart to Bitcoin's. Expansion setup here. Looking forward to this. So we could see some moves in cryptos as well going into the weekend. But otherwise, you know, those are our markets, and we'll just trade carefully on holidays, or don't trade at all. And that is it for me. I'm gonna go enjoy my holiday, and I wish the best of you a good rest of your trading day if you're trading, and if you are celebrating the holiday, have a safe holiday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.